Hey, welcome back. Today's training camp recap is a messy one, and I'm going to walk you through everything that matters. First off, the tone. This wasn't just another padded practice. You had multiple players hitting the turf, a couple of guys carted off, and enough little nagging issues that you should be paying attention if you care about depth. Let's start with Jaden Blue. The play that knocked him down looked like a face mask grab that bent his ankle the wrong way. He was helped off, limped toward the sideline, and later returned in street clothes, which is the kind of mixed signal that makes you hold your breath for 24 hours. Stephen Jones downplayed what he saw, which is the usual club move. But when a young running back goes off on a play that looks mechanical, ankle bending, awkward plan, you have to wonder whether he's day-to-day or quietly tracking toward a longer evaluation. Now Jake Ferguson. That sequence looked like a forearm into his back or ribs during red zone work. He finished the play, then went to the locker room and didn't finish the session. That's the sort of thing you don't ignore at tight end, because Ferguson is a reliable extension of the offense in short field work. If he's limited, it changes red zone targets and personnel packages, and it opens the door for different looks that may not be ideal in September. There were other names too. Deuce Vaughn was limited, Miles Sanders didn't practice, and guys like Princeton Fan and Justin Barron appeared banged up. Individually, these aren't headline injuries, but the accumulation is what matters. Camp reps build rhythm and chemistry, and when too many people miss them, you see a ripple effect in rotations and special teams. On top of that, Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones were not out there, which naturally fuels chatter. Right now there's nothing concrete to report. No trade talk confirmed, no suspensions, just absences that add noise. Absence breeds speculation, and speculation eats at focus. Quick interaction. Tell me right now. Type Y if you think this is mostly temporary noise and the team will handle it, or N if you think these camp injuries will force real roster adjustments before the season starts. While you vote, do me a favor and hit subscribe. We're trying to push to 16,000 subscribers, and every click helps the channel keep bringing these daily breakdowns. I know you and I both hate overreacting at camp, but context matters. Practice reps shape the final roster. Up next, I'll break down the tape on the Blue and Ferguson plays, show the angles you should care about, and explain what I'd change and how reps are handled at practice to protect depth and limit these sort of scares. Alright, let's get into the play-by-play, because these two moments, Jaden Blue's ankle and Jake Ferguson's back shot, aren't just random camp incidents. They tell you a lot about how practice tempo and player safety are being handled right now. On the Blue play, it starts with Sam Williams coming off the edge a little too aggressively. He reaches in, grabs at the helmet area, and the face mask yanks Blue's head just enough to throw his balance off. When that happens, Blue's plant foot gets trapped under his body weight and twists awkwardly. That's when you see him immediately favor the ankle, hopping and then dropping down before trainers come over. In slow motion, it's clear this wasn't just incidental contact. It was the kind of unneeded physicality you try to avoid in August. Blue's reaction, the limp to the cart, and then reappearing later without a boot. That's a strange middle ground between it's nothing and we'll know more tomorrow. For now, I call it a warning sign more than a disaster. Then we've got Ferguson's sequence. This came just minutes after Blue's exit during red zone drills. Dak drops back, sees Kenneth Murray in position, and tries to put the ball behind Ferguson to keep him out of direct traffic. Ferguson turns, makes the move, and then takes what looks like a forearm or upper arm shiver right into his back or ribs. It's not helmet to helmet, but it's still the kind of hit you simply don't want in a controlled camp setting. Ferguson finishes the rep, credit to him, but then he's clearly grimacing, and after a moment, he heads for the locker room. Stephen Jones says it's not serious, but think about this. If Ferguson has to sit even for a short stretch, you're repping Shoemaker and John Stevens more, maybe forcing Hunter Lipkin to emergency tight end snaps, which can lead to more instability across other units. These two plays also highlight a discipline issue. In camp, there's a line between physical reps that simulate game speed and reckless contact that risks depth before week one. The coaches will say next man up, but the reality is that avoidable hits like these can change roster math in a heartbeat. Here's where I want you to weigh in. Should guys like Sam Williams and Kenneth Murray be sat down for a talk about dialing it back in practice? Type Y if you think coaches need to address it immediately, or N if you think this is just part of competitive camp energy. And remember, Every like on this video pushes it out to more Cowboys fans, so hit that thumbs up if you want this kind of detailed camp breakdown to keep coming. In a minute, we'll shift to how these injuries ripple through the depth chart, especially at running back and tight end, and which players might unexpectedly see their stock rise because of it. Now let's look at the ripple effect, because when a couple of offensive contributors get dinged up in camp, it's never just about their own recovery. It's about who's stepping into those reps and how the coaching staff adjusts on the fly. At running back, you're already walking a thin line. Miles Sanders hasn't been practicing, Jaden Blue is suddenly questionable, and Deuce Vaughn just got back into pads but still isn't cleared for full team drills. That means guys like Javonte Williams, Hunter Lipk, and Phil Maffa are getting more work than originally planned. For a player like Lipk, it's a double-edged sword. Yes, it's a chance to show versatility, even taking some tight end snaps, but it also puts him in situations where mistakes like that fumble in practice can really hurt his standing. At tight end, Ferguson's situation opens the door for others to make their case. Luke Shoemaker is healthy and taking on more responsibility. John Stevens is out there, trying to make noise. Princeton Fant, who could have been a depth factor, is sidelined, so the shuffle becomes even more noticeable. If Ferguson's absence lingers in the preseason, you'll probably see more reps given to fringe guys in both passing and blocking situations. That's where special teams come in. These are the snaps that can win a roster spot for someone buried on the depth chart. On the offensive line, Terrence Steele's quick scare after an eye poke is a reminder that in camp, even minor incidents can throw rotations out of sync. Coaches need continuity to evaluate combinations, and every tweak or substitution delays that process. Same thing on defense. Justin Bear not practicing, DeMarvion Overshown's recovery timeline still in mind, and a few depth DBS like Zion Childress suddenly getting first-team looks in nickel work. That's how a camp injury on offense ends up affecting defensive evaluations. Practice script changes, matchups shift, and coaches have to improvise. So here's my question for you. If you were in Mike McCarthy's spot, would you double down on protecting the starters now, or keep the physicality high to get everyone game ready? Drop your answer in the comments with a short reason why. And don't forget to subscribe. We're pushing for 16-0, and I want every Cowboys fan in on these conversations. Up next, we'll dive into the Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones absence, why it spooked so many people, and how to separate real signs of trouble from simple camp weirdness. Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones both not being at practice lit up the speculation machine. You know how it goes. When two of the most high-profile figures in the organization are suddenly absent, the rumor mill doesn't just spin, it explodes. The first thing to make clear is that, according to multiple reports, Parsons was still at camp, just not on the field, and Jerry was simply somewhere else. No official statements about big deals, no sources confirming a contract standoff, but that didn't stop fans from wondering if something was brewing. That's the reality of covering a star player who's also negotiating for his future. Every tiny change in routine becomes headline material. Stephen Jones even had to clarify that nothing serious was going on, which tells you the team knew the optics weren't great. The problem is perception matters. Fans see Micah's competitive fire and know he wants to be the highest paid defender in the league, so an unexplained absence during camp automatically triggers that UHO reaction. Add in Jerry's absence on the same day, and it becomes a perfect storm for overreaction. In truth, this could have been as simple as a rest day for Parsons or a personal schedule for Jerry, but August camp is a magnifying glass. Every move looks bigger than it is. From a locker room standpoint, the players probably aren't panicking, but they're aware of the noise. Speculation can be distracting if it drags on. If Parsons were ever to actually leave camp for real, it could trigger a serious contract tolling scenario, which would get messy fast. Nobody thinks that's the plan right now, but it's why even small changes get dissected. So here's where I want you involved. Do you think this absence means something? Type Y for yes, N for no. And if you're watching this after the live drop, check the comments to see how other fans are leaning. Also, hit that like button if you want this kind of context-driven coverage instead of just headline panic. Coming up next, I'm going to break down exactly what I'd change in camp right now, from how reps are structured to who should be getting more preseason snaps to keep this team healthy while still getting them ready for week 1. Alright, here's the final piece. What I'd change in practice plans to balance health and readiness as camp pushes forward. First off, I get stricter on limiting risky contact in drills that aren't live game reps. We saw too Many hits like the face mask on Blue or the forearm on Ferguson, that could be prevented with better discipline. Coaches need to remind the guys that while camp is competitive, it's not the regular season. Protecting the core players has to be priority one. Second, I'd adjust reps so that backup running backs and tight ends get more targeted work. With Sanders out and Blue questionable, those practice reps are essential for guys like Lipke and Vaughn to show they can step up. That means changing the script for red zone work and even some early down situations and scrimmages, so the coaching staff can evaluate them in game-like scenarios without risking injury to starters. Special teams should also get more focus. Injuries often force players into these critical units where they can make or break their roster chances. Giving the younger or fringe players more snaps here will help the team manage depth, especially if injuries linger. Lastly, the quarterback room needs to be watched closely. Joe Milton threw some impressive deep balls in practice, and his preseason snaps will be important for coaches to assess if he's ready to handle more. He's healthy, and that arm strength can't be ignored, so expect him to play a big role in the upcoming preseason game. To wrap up, while it's frustrating to see injuries piling up, the Cowboys still have plenty of talent and opportunity. It's all about smart management from here on out. If you want to keep up with the watch, parties, previews, and daily upgrades, make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications on. Also, here's a quick poll for you. What worries you most right now? Injuries, B depth concerns, or C coaching decisions? Drop your pick in the comments. And let's keep this conversation going. Thanks for watching and stay ready. This season could still be something special.